Pterodactyl here. Today's video is going to be on this here Lawnboy 2005 model zero turn where the axle had snapped off. That's what they brought it in for. They just want the axle replaced. So I went online and got the part number for the axle replacement, and it's an upgraded kit. Now we're only doing the one side, again, because that's what the customer is paying for. I'm not doing both sides. It's not my mower. So here's the kit we got from Hydro Gear. It's got a Hydro Gear transmission in it. And it's going from a 3/4 diameter shaft to a 1-inch shaft. It's called an upgrade kit.
Well, how do they do that, Taryl? How do they go from 3/4 to 1-inch? Are you going to have to do some machining?
That's what I thought. So then I unpacked the kit, and this is what you get. You get the axle, you get a new hub with a nut to hold the hub on. Now I've never done one of these before. Get a new gear that goes inside the transmission. And you get some seals. And what else in here? And some spacers and some washers and some clips. I don't want to lose any of this stuff. Snap ring, washer. Here's another type of ring. Couple of seals. There's another seal, probably the 1-inch axle seal. And you get these. So this is how they go from 3/4 to 1-inch. These are inside the transmission. And they got a bigger bore. So I guarantee when we take the transmission apart to put these in, the old ones are going to be smaller. Oh, and it came with a love note. You know, they always come with a love note.
Dear Taryl, I really love your videos. Here's an upgraded axle conversion kit for that Lawnboy you're working on.
And here it is. This is how they show it. So it even says, due to the change from 3/4 to 1-inch, all 3/4 axles has been superseded to either a 72185 or 72186 axle conversion kit containing the new 1-inch taper lock axle. These kits contain the parts directly related to the axle shaft. Shown in the figure below, these parts will be installed in the same orientation as the old parts, with the patch lock hub nut torque specification at 240 to 260 foot-pounds. So they really want that thing tight. And then there's a other little side note there.
The trunnion and brake shaft seals are included with each kit and only need to be used on models that the trunnion and or brake shaft extend through the side housing, inboard side of transaxle and machine.
So you may or may not have to replace those other ones. So, if you got a Hydro Gear transmission, it's a little tricky to navigate their site to figure out what exact model transmission you have. Now, I just took the model number off of this particular unit, and where was that model number? On here. Where did I find that? Because it's been a while. Right here. Here it is. I already walked around it once. Duh. So I looked that up on one of the very many popular sites there are, ProPartsDirect.net, Parts Tree, Jack Small Engines, because this is made by Toro. Toro owns the Lawnboy name. So this is basically a green Toro. It's just got some different body parts on it. So I looked it up, found the part number for the axle shaft, Googled or did a Giggle search on their part number, that I got, and it gave me a bunch of different options. Now, Parts Tree wanted $533 for that kit. And then I saw some other results come up, and Amazon, or I mean, excuse me, I misspoke. Scamazon wanted, like, with all the taxes and shipping and stuff, because I don't have that Prime, which isn't free because you're paying for it anyway.
Oh, I got Prime. I got free shipping. I got Prime.
Yeah, well, you're paying for that yearly. So I got it from them, and I think it was $179 or $180. So it was a considerably cheaper for this customer. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the transmission and replace that shaft. Now I know you.
Oh, Taryl, I thought you don't like Scamazon. You don't like buying stuff off of Scamazon and Fleabay.
I don't. But that's aftermarket crap. This isn't aftermarket. This is OEM Hydrogear. So like I said before, OEM is what you want. I only have trouble with that cheap knockoff stuff. Not everything is bad, but some of it is. All right. So I think I got all the tools we need. So there's 2 bolts here. There's a bolt here. There's a bolt in the front. Right here. We have to release or take this bolt out here. And this is for the arm. This is to remove the arm. And we have to undo the parking brake. Now, as I can see, there looks to be about 3 threads sticking through. So you're going to want to make note of that. How much is sticking through, so when you go to put it back together, you put this in the same spot. So there's about 3 threads sticking through. And then, of course, we have the belt that's holding tension on it. Now, I know, if you could see it, the belt looks like it needs to be...
You gonna replace the belt, Taryl? You gonna replace the belt?
I'll have to call a customer and confer with them if they want the belt changed. So this is a spring that holds the tension on this. Now, it's not a very heavy-duty spring, so you can just take it off with your hands. And try not to lose it. And now, you'll have that tension off the belt, see? So to speed the video along, I'm just going to go ahead and remove those 4 bolts. This bolt on the side, this is another thing that's nice. As long as you got this lever in the neutral position, they put a hole in the frame so you can get at that. So that's what we're going to want to do. It's a 1/2 inch nut and a 5/8 head on the other side. You don't want to lose the nut. There it is. It's got a little shoulder bolt, and that's for the lever. So that's what we want to take off first, and then next, we want to take this off for the parking brake. Try not to lose the nut. There's a washer on there. May be able to pull that back. Let me see. Let me move the arm. All right, there we go. That took a bunch of tension off. So move the arm, and you can get this off. So come over here, Mr. Cameraman, so they can know exactly what I'm talking about. I had to move the arm out of, because this is the parking brake. Had to move it from park to there. All right. And then now I'll just remove those other 4 bolts. We'll have the transmission out. We're going to put it on the bench. All right, this washer here, when it tightened it up, it kind of put a crown on it. Gotta get the belt off. This wouldn't be an easy job to change this belt either, it looks like. You pull these out. Where's the one in the back? There we go. So I'm sure it's going to be a little tricky putting this back in. All right, so now here's another thing I didn't anticipate, and that's, come over here, Mr. Cameraman, over my right shoulder. And that's the release, the hydro release, which has a quick pin on it. And looks like this vent tube, I'm going to put this washer and this quick pin back in so I don't lose it. Like I said earlier, I've never done one of these. I've never had to. All right. There we go. And there's the vent tube. There must have been a zip tie or something holding it. Let me look. Yeah. So look under here. Just so you other grass rats know when you're doing it. Here's something that retains that hose. See, here's the other side. The other side. So you're going to have to remove that too. So that's 2 things I missed for taking the trans out. So before we disassemble it, we're going to want to clean it. And here is the exact model of this transmission. Just in case you want to know, or you have, say, a different zero turn, and you want to know how to identify it. So you need all this information here. And then we're going to go to the computer, and I'm going to show you on Hydrogear's website how you find out exactly what model trans you have by this. I already know what model this is. This is a ZT 2200. But nowhere on here does it tell you it's a ZT 2200. Another thing, there's no drain plug. So when we go in the office and I go on the computer and I show you the service manual on this, some of these covers will have a drain plug in here. And some of them will have a fill port too. Here's the fill port right here. And it uses 20W50 motor oil, not synthetic. 20W50. A substitute is if you want to use synthetic, you can use 1550 in a synthetic. But they recommend 20W50, and this particular one holds 56 ounces. But they also tell you in the manual, the service manual, to fill it 3/4 of an inch from the top of here. 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches is suitable. But if you're doing a repair on it, you're probably going to want to fill it up to about 3/4 of an inch from the top. And then you're going to want to run it, and then you're going to want to recheck it. But we're going to have to clean this. And another thing it says, do not pressure wash the transmission. But they don't tell you why. And you know what? I'm pressure washing it because we're taking it apart anyway. It's filthy. I'm not going to chance any of this getting into here when I pull this cover off. So I'm going to pressure wash it. But we're going to go to the computer and I'm going to show you how to navigate their website because it's a little confusing if you don't know what you're doing. And to try to figure out what trans you have in case you want a service manual on it. Because they got them on their site. They're free. So I know we have a lot of older fans, and sometimes the inner screen can be a little intimidating. So I'm going to do a Giggle search here. So I just type in Hydra Gear, hit enter. And then you get all these search results. So here's their website, Hydra Gear. Click on that. Then you go to product support right here. And then scroll down to cross-reference guide. Now there's all kinds of stuff in here. Service manual, service and repair manuals, model identification. But we're going to cross-reference guide. Now, ours was what? ZA it started with. The prefix. ZA right here. ZT2200, also known as a EZT. So that's how I was able to find exactly what transmission I got. Then you can hit your back button. Go back to service and repair manuals. Go down to ZT 2100, 2200, and you can download the manual. And there it is. So we just want to concern ourselves with the 2100. Here's everything about it. Anything you want to know. You can read through all this stuff. Pages and pages. They'll explain everything. You just got to read it. Now, there's a difference between reading and comprehending. Comprehension is understanding what you read. Reading is just reading. See? Walks you through the whole thing. Now, for most of us grass rats, you know, we would just need a few things off of this, like maybe torque specs, what you want to torque different, hardware to, so you can find it in here, or how much fluid it holds and what type of fluid. But because there's different variations of this transmission, and it explains all that in there. Some of them, like I said, have a drain plug. Some have an external brake, not the type of parking brake we have. It's got an external one, a different type. This is the type we have. Let me see if I can find that other one. There's a casting on the other side for this type of brake, which is the one like on a garden tractor that has actual brake shoes. Get it, boy, get it! He's getting it tonight. So there you go. See, here's all kinds of breakdowns. Different information on there. No part numbers, just item numbers to tell you what it is. These are item numbers. These are not part numbers. 160 here is not a part number. That's called an item number. So I hope that helps when you're trying to repair this stuff. And again, it's free. Got that, grass rats? Well, I'm going to give it a pressure scrubbing and check this thing out. I got on Temu. That's the Chinese Scamazon. This is called a foam cannon. Oop. See, it's already breaking on me. Came with this handle. Quick connect. And I can shift between the pressure washer and the foam cannon. Now, if you don't know what a foam cannon is, you can put some liquid in there, and then this knob on the top, this adjusts how much of the liquid you want to deliver out of the foam cannon. And then this adjusts your spray. And then you can still change out your nozzles. It even came with a full set of these nozzles. And it was real cheap. And it works pretty good. Works good for these mowers. So we could soap up the mower. Just hit the button. And toggle between foam cannon and that. I figured I better mention it because I'm going to use it. And they're going,
What is that, Taryl? What is that thing you were using, Taryl?
so that's the thing I'm using. Now you use whatever detergent you want. I put Purple Power in there because Purple Power is pretty cheap. And mixed it with water. But you could use whatever liquid soap that you prefer. I found out about that foam cannon from my neighbor. My neighbor Mike, who's a fan of the channel. He told me about it. He let me borrow his. I used it to clean my house. And I used Pool Shock. He said, use Pool Shock and some dish soap and put it in the foam cannon. Oh my goodness. What a job it did. It cleaned that fascia and soffit and all that vinyl siding I got. Sprayed it on. Didn't even have to let it sit. Washed it off. That stuff just melted off. I tell you, my fascia soft, it looked like brand new again. Tool shot. Full strength, he told me to use it. But I mixed it with a little water just to thin it out some because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough to do the whole house. I got it. He gave me a gallon of it. I offered to pay for it, but he wouldn't have he would have none of that. But yeah, I didn't know anything about that. Oh, money's calling. Too bad we're closed. I'm not answering it. She's talking to me. Telephone's calling. So I need to remove this. And there's just a clip on there. Now I need to remove all these 3/8 headed screws. Because there's no drain plug. Again, never did one of these before. I had to modify my tough torque transmission stand to accept this transmission. I had to space one of these out. So now it'll accept both of these. Now there's some pry points to get this cover off. Here's one right here. And there's one over here. Let's see. There's another one underneath. Nope, I only see those two. So I also got a scraper, a gasket scraper. There we go. Kind of help. And of course, it's not long enough to catch all the fluid. Because this is for like a tractor transmission. What do we got down here? All right, that's just nothing. I would think it would just slide off the shaft here. There we go. Yeah, it's just that sealant they used. Trying to keep stuff from falling out on me. which is what you'd probably want to do too if you're doing one of these. And it appears this shaft right here, I don't know if you could see that from the top. There's a shaft right there that wants to come out with the cover. Maybe I could grab that with some long note. There we go. And keep that there and push that in there. Yeah, see all the adhesive? That was what really was holding us on there. I didn't want none of this to jump out on me. All right. So there's our axle shaft. We got a washer on there. So it'd probably be good to pick this thing up and lay it on its side. I'm sure they probably have a stand for these Hydra gear. You know what I'm going to do? Probably just stick it in a vise. Hopefully I don't drop it, or I'll be buying the customer a new one. There we go. Again, first time doing one. So maybe next time, or maybe I can make some kind of adapter for my stand that it could slide onto these two posts here and hold it sideways. And in that way, when you zip the bolts out, you can pry the cover off and everything will stay inside like this. That's what I'll probably do. All right. So I can pluck this gear off of here. And I already see something. This washer here. I wonder where this came from. That must have been when I was just trying to take that cover off. Oh, I bet you I know where that goes. Because this was that pin that was trying to walk out on me. That goes there. See? Got to be careful of what you're doing. Now, there's no timing marks or anything on this that you have to worry about. The main thing you worry about is trying to keep crap out of here. All right, so the shaft, you can see it's all buggered up. And it's probably not going to want to come out. See? So now I'm going to have to clean this up. Because, you know, they tried to weld on it. And there's weld boogers on there. And there's also a snap ring on here to let that seal come out. And probably that other spacer. So let me try that. But, you know, the thing is, I don't want to... Yeah, and that goes down like that. See, that was starting to come. Oh, that's for the parking brake. All right, we got that shoved back down there. Is there any washers or anything on the inside here? No. You gotta inspect everything. So there's no washer on here. because you can see where that was rubbing slightly. Probably from where, because this thing pivots on those pistons. All right. Let me get the snap ring pliers and go from underneath and see if all that other stuff will drop out this way, because that'll make it easier than trying to clean up the shaft. And if I can get that to drop out, then this whole thing should pull out. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping for. So next time, if I do one of these, it'll go a lot quicker because I'll know exactly what to do. First thing you gotta do is take snap ring out. Get that seal out of there. Get that other bushing out of there. Let's see if the seal puller will pull that seal out. Give me one absorbent mats, a coffee can or something to stick under here. Yep, that's what I thought. But again, yeah, that's only going to go out one way. So I still got to clean up the shaft. Doesn't matter. Shaft still got to get cleaned up. All right. Let me clean that shaft up. I don't want to bore you with the shaft cleaning. All right, I got the shaft all cleaned up. And there we go. It's coming out. So there's the old shaft. Boy, they're getting it tonight. And then we got this. Now I notice the new one doesn't have these lubrication holes in there. What they did is they put grooves in there. And another thing I feel is almost like there's a little bit of a burr on the edge of this. I may have to clean that off. Well, it fits on there fine. All right. So that, of course, goes under there with the new seal and the snap ring. So let's dump everything out of here. I'll have to replace this seal. They give me a new seal, not the Singer, for there. So I'll pop that out and put the new one in there. They're going to have some parts left over. We'll let that drain. Here's our thick washer that goes in between this and this. Here's our new gear. Got to use the gear because, again, this is a bigger diameter shaft. It's a symmetrical gear. There's no particular way it should face. You got a groove like that on each side, a little recessed area. So you're just going to slide it on there. And then you're going to put this spiral type retaining ring on there. Get one end started, and then just kind of spiral it around. See how it's a spiral? Just get one end started and just walk it around until it fits in the groove. And there's your dinner. Put on that big flat washer. I'll get some lube. We can use some of the old oil to kind of coat this. So there's some lubricant on it. This I can just dip in here. The oil still look pretty good. There's a filter down in here. It looked pretty clean. And it doesn't look like it's going to be easy to get that out. We just want to replace the axle. There's our dinner. And then we can put this on, this gear. Check everything, make sure there's no dirt or anything on it. Now I just laid it off to the side when I took it off, so that way I'm putting it on the same way. Come on. And then there was this washer that went on there. So the next thing I need to do is clean all this silicone off. Make sure none of it goes down in there. So got to be very careful. Kind of scrape to the outside. Use a Scotch-Brite pad if you have to. And then I'll clean the other cover. That's probably what takes the most time. Getting it out, getting it apart, doing this part goes pretty quickly, and especially if you've done it a few times, I'm sure you would get faster and faster at it. The thing that eats up the most time is cleaning all this off and trying to keep it from getting down in there. And making sure it's all nice and clean so the silicone is going to stick and it's not going to leak. Because you don't want to go through all this work and then have the thing leak. And then I'll seal it up with the silicone that we use, that we sell in our online store. I've got the black we sell, and I also got the aluminium. Both up to 600 degrees it'll take. So since this has got black on it already, I'll use the black. And then I'm going to use our tube gripper. And we got two sizes. This is the bigger one, 2.5 inch. And then we have a smaller one. I think I got one over here somewhere. Oh yeah. And then here's a smaller one that just takes the regular tubes. So, and it'll squeeze any tube, even your toothpaste, which, you know, I don't use that. So I'll go ahead to speed it up. clean all this, get it back on, get the seal in, get this part in, put the new crank seal in, which I'll use my my Tough Torque seal driver. This will work. I got a 1 inch and a 3/4. So since this is 1 inch, see, I'll be able to drive that seal in. If you don't have a seal driver, you can use the old seal, or, well, you don't, or you can't use that other thing either. Can't use this because that's got to go inside, and this isn't 1 inch. You could use this that comes with the kit. You could put the seal on if you don't have a seal driver, and then use that and maybe a deep well socket, and then lightly tap it on there. There's no keyway or nothing, so you don't have to worry about it getting caught on anything. Just lube it up real good and drive it in. Plus you got a snap ring that holds everything in place. So that's all pretty straightforward. And then we're just going to have the one seal left over on our particular application. Huh, maybe not. Good thing I didn't drive that seal out, because neither one of these seals are going to work for this. So I got to use this seal over again. Well, that's nice, Hydra gear. Good thing I checked that, because if I would have drove that out, then I'd be looking for a seal. And there ain't no other seal in here. Well, it wasn't leaking, so it should be okay. That can hold up a job right there. See? That's why you got to check everything. You got to check it all. All right, so let me do that. Let me get it all back together, get bolts all torqued, and get it back in the machine, and then we'll do the hub. We'll put the new hub on, and we'll torque that nut down. That ought to be fun. Well, I got the transmission all back together, and like I said earlier, the most time-consuming part is cleaning the silicone off of both surfaces. Now, Velco had let us have some of this silicone solvent. It's silicone remover solvent and surface prep. Now, we've had it for a while, but I don't like to just jump out there and endorse something without using it. So I've been using it for quite a while, and it works really well. The only thing is, it's expensive. It's pretty expensive. But we're going to offer it in our online store. So you have to read like it says. So manually remove the majority of the silicone, then spray with solvent to soften. Use a non-abrasive pad to remove any residue. And it also says spray and wipe clean with a soft cloth as a final cleaning prior to painting. So you could use it for other stuff too, for painting. So what I found is when you use this stuff, it works really well. You get most of it off, and then when you spray it on there, it will soften it, and you can remove it, and then it makes it real clean. So you don't have to go back with, say, like carburetor spray or brake cleaner to clean the surfaces before you add the silicone. It really works good. So I've been using it for quite a while, and now I'm jumping out there to endorse it. So you might want to get some if you're doing a lot of jobs where you got to remove the silicone. So I put the black silicone on there, bolted it back together, tightened it down, and I filled it. Now I did this a couple days ago because I had to get a hold of the customer to find out if he wanted us to change the belts, which he did, and then I had to order the belts, so we're going to change the belts. So I filled it, and it didn't take 56 ounces like I said earlier. I was only able to get 46 ounces in there, and then I had to suck a couple of ounces out. So there was there was fluid or oil already in there because we didn't take the pump and everything else apart. So just be aware of that if you're doing this axle swap, that it may hold less than what they say it's going to hold. And then I filled it, of course, right through there. That's the fill port. And it used a 1/4 inch Allen wrench or Allen socket. Another difficulty I had, because again, I've never done one of these before, was putting that seal in. Because that seal is recessed and it has that snap ring in there. So I was only able to drive it on so far with this seal tool that I have, which is for a tough torque, and then it was hitting the housing. So I had to drive it in the rest of the way. Luckily, I had a piece of 1.5-inch conduit, EMT conduit. And that worked out perfect. I was able to push it in the rest of the way and then get it in there with the snap ring. All right, so we got all that done. I thought I had that thing tightened in there better. Good thing it didn't hit the floor. Nope. See, that's why I need a regular stand for this thing. There we go. That makes for a good video. Oops. Dropping the transmission. Good thing it didn't hit the floor. So now you got to purge it and make sure it runs, or make sure it spins. Make sure the axle turns. Make sure that that thing's in there tight. So I got a 3/4 socket, and you want to spin it clockwise. And then what I did is I pulled on the release valve here. Here's the valve, so you can release the pressure. And then I spun it, got a lot of that air out. And then once I did that, then I moved the forward and reverse. And made sure it worked before you go putting it all back in and find out you might have put something back together wrong. So now we're ready to reinstall it back in the mower. But we got to change those belts. And belts meaning plural. I didn't realize this, but there's more than one belt for this drive system. I thought it was just one long belt. No, it's 2 belts. And I know some of you grass rats that probably have already done,
It's got 2 belts, Taryl. Don't have one. It's got 2. It's got 2.
Well, I found that out. So let's go do that. So when I took a closer look at this, there's 2 little short belts that go in there. And luckily, Sten's had them. There's the Taryl part number. And there's the Sten's part number. Because most of these 0 turns just have 1 belt that runs the pumps. So then I got to look in there, and I'm like, oh, there's another spring down here that's holding tension on the other idler. So now we got to pull the clutch so I can change both belts. So you're going to have to release this wire for the clutch, which has got a little hasp on here. Sometimes you got to put a screwdriver in there to get that up. Sometimes these things are really tight in there, but this one came out pretty easy. And then a 5/8 socket. Now we can remove the clutch. See? Now you can see there's 2 belts. So this is the one I released, and I also needed to release this one. That's probably why it was coming out so hard when I took it out. So let's see if we can get these off without too much trouble. You can see they're all cracked. So, like I explained to the customer on the phone, I go, we could just do the axle like you wanted, but I don't know how long those belts are going to last. And then you'll just be back, and we'll just be taking it apart again. This one's got a lot of cracks. Now the reason they're cogged like that, I've been told, is so air can get in there. And it's supposed to make the belt stay cool so it doesn't get as hot. It's supposed to be like little cooling fins. Put that one on first, because that's the one we took off last. And then get this one up around here and around there. And then we got to get it on this side of the idler. There we go. Now this one, this was the first one I did. Now this one I can hook the tension back on there. All right. And then this one will hook up after we get the transmission back in. So might as well leave the clutch off, so it'll make it easier, hopefully make it easier to reinstall that transmission. And we still got to put the hub on. And he wants a new deck belt too. All right. Ooh. Here's our release. Now, I could imagine somebody trying to do this on their back. All right. I just got it pivoting off that bolt. And there was a flat washer on there. I'm just going to put a couple of treads on there, just so it doesn't fall on me. Now I'm going to go ahead and hook this hydro release back up, just in case. Yeah, see, now I can move it a little bit. I gotta get something to get that quick pin out of there. Pair of needle nose. Easier sitting on this chair. All right. And then there was a washer. All right, we got that hooked up. Let me make sure it kind of slipped out of that notch under here. So I think I can just, there we go. There. hell, what's going on here? All right. So now I got to get the belt on. All right, I got the belt on. Let's get this other top bolt in here. Now it's kind of hitting on the fan a little bit, so you're gonna have to snake it through there. There we go. All right. Now let me get a nut for that. There was a nut and a washer for that too. Remember that one washer was kind of cupped it because it wasn't very thick. So hold on, I got a better washer to put on there. These are those thick washers that come with those crawler head gasket kits. And I end up with a lot of these. So I think this would be a better washer to put on here because it's thicker than that other one. I'll probably change that bottom one out too, that one I put down there. All right, so the belt's on. Let's make sure. We got to come up to the top here, I believe, to put enough tension on this belt. Nope, I'm wrong. You know what? It's not on the engine pulley. That's the problem I'm having. All right, let's see. All right, there we go. Now what are we stuck in? There we go. Gotta make sure this belt isn't gonna rub on nothing. Do I have this right? All right, I got it. It's correct the way I got it. The problem I was having is since I took the clutch off, this engine pulley had dropped down. And then it was rubbing on the trans, but when I push it up, then it clears. Same with this. I got the trans hanging in these bolts here. So when everything's tightened up, everything is clearing like it should. So I've got all the belt tensioners in the right spot. All right, so we'll hook this back up like we did when we took it off. We got to put that bolt in there. We got to get our parking brake hooked back up. And 2 more bolts here, tighten it all down. I'll put the clutch back on. Then we'll be ready to put that hub on in the wheel. Then we'll be done. I've got it all bolted back in. Now go around and check to make sure the belt's not rubbing on anything. Make sure you got everything in there right. Now remember, you got to move that lever to the neutral position when you want to hook up the lever again to go through here. Then you have to engage the lever, push the lever up so you can get this parking brake rod back in there. And then remember, figure out how many threads were sticking out when you took it apart so you can put it back in the same spot. Remember, ours was at 3, about 3 threads sticking out. So that's all on. So now I'll put the clutch back in, hook the clutch up, and we can put that wheel hub on there and torque that down, put the wheel on. It's important to remember when you're taking these clutches off and putting them back on, whether it's this mower or any mower, you have to make sure that this is locked in to where it needs to go, into whatever anti-rotation device that's on your mower. This one is this here. because I've seen so many people pull clutches off, put them back on, not get that anti-rotation device locked in there. As soon as they pull the button and engage the clutch and everything spins and rips the wires out. And then we have a video on how to fix that when that happens. So you might want to check that out. Because a lot of shops will just sell you a new clutch. I got a way of fixing it. Okay, I got the clutch back on. I got it torqued. And if you remember, grass rats, they had this clutch wire above this spring here. And I didn't like how they had that ran because it's kind of resting on top of that spring. So I used a zip tie and zip tied it to the frame here underneath. So now we got the hub, the new hub. And it came with this plastic spacer that goes on there. It's not going to interfere with the seal or anything, so that's good. And this is tapered. The shaft is tapered and it's splined. And the new nut they give you has thread sealing on it. So I'm going to go ahead and hammer it on there because it's 240 to 260 foot-pounds. That's quite a bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and hammer it on with this, and then I'll finish torque it with my torque wrench. Get that as close as I can. So here's the wheel, which is flat. And there's the old hub. And you could tell the customer had tried to weld it back on, but we're unsuccessful. So I got to take this old hub off, and I'm going to have to fix this tire, make sure it don't leak. And then I'll put the tire on. I got to put the battery back in, and then I'll put the deck belt on later. I fixed the tire. The valve stem was broke. So I bead sealed it anyway, put a new valve stem on it, torqued the hub to 240 foot-pounds. I don't know if I said foot-pounds before. Sometimes I get my feet and my pounds and my inches mixed up. So 240 foot-pounds I torqued it to. Fix the tire, put the battery in, and also don't forget to hook up the vent tube. Remember when I took it apart, I forgot to unclamp this? The vent tube for the transmission. I got the relief valves released. I checked all the air pressure in the tires to make sure they're all the same. So as Elkskins famously says, fire it up, fire it up, fire it up! Shut up! Fingers crossed. Well, there you have it. That's what it takes to upgrade, put that upgrade axle kit in there. Now all I got to do is wait for the other side to break off. The 3/4 side on the other side, 3/4 inch shaft. And then that'll be back and we'll be replacing that one. Well, I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. Hope you learned a lot. I learned something because this is the first time I ever did it. You know, when we started this channel, we started with how-tos, and we started doing a bunch of how-to videos on things we saw a lot of. So, you know, I knew how to do all that stuff because I'd done like 20, 30 of them. So it's like, yeah, let's do a belt video on this. These belts are always falling off. Let's do it on this. Let's do it on that. I see this all the time. So now we're getting into stuff that I've never done before. But I did it. We got through it. We got it did, and we got it done. And there's your dinner. So, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you already haven't. Let's comment in the comment sections below. Tell us what you think. I know you're going to tell me anyway, whether I tell you to comment or not. Follow me. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Come on, follow me. Check out our web store. We got all kinds of stuff. Do you bleed gas and oil? I do. You know where this shirt would look good? On your torso, on your body. Check out this hat. Maybe you want this hat too. Spark plug necklace. Some of those other products we use, the silicone, the tube gripper, and maybe that silicone removal stuff. I know it's expensive, but you know what? It may help you. It may speed things up, get things done quicker. Time is money. So you might want to check some of that stuff out. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Replacing the axle on the Lawnboy, which is a Toro. Upgrading it to 1 inch. You know why? Because the axles were breaking off.